Hello, and welcome to my quick review. I'm your average gamer who skips all the online negativity and dives into games to see for myself. Now, my voice and accent might not be pro level, which is why I've recruited my friend AI here to help me out. Instead of getting bogged down in spoilers and complaints, I'm all about diving in to see if a game sticks. If it looks fun and cool, I'm all in. If it looks boring, well, you'll find me hitting exit faster than you can say tutorial. So let's jump in. Alright, confession time. I don't dive into games for some deep, soul-searching narrative experience. I get enough drama just living life. If I wanted a heavy plot, I'd watch a show or, who knows, maybe even pick up a book. Like I read. Here's the scoop. This game sets you up in some world where stuff happens, probably involving heroes, villains, and a healthy dose of vague prophecies. If you're here for a good story, or even a cheesy one, you'll probably find something to chew on. For the rest of us, the game generously lets you skip all that and dive straight into the action. I'll be honest, the story never got in the way of my fun, which is a win in my book. I might not know exactly why I'm fighting these angry creatures, but we all know it's mostly about the gameplay, right? If the plot somehow catches my attention, hey, I'll give it some credit, or just go watch a video to understand it later. My game time is my game time. And honestly, I'd rather be playing than trying to figure out some epic tale. Game's got some impressive visuals. And yes, I'll admit a couple of characters look so well designed you could almost see them pulling in ad revenue on their own Instagram. Some solid voice lines too. But honestly, none of it was quite captivating enough to keep me from my true mission. Beating up bad guys without needing a complex backstory to justify it. Alright, here's the deal. I'm not some hardcore gamer. I mean, I wish I was, but until someone decides to pay me to play, I'll stick to my balanced, semi-casual vibe. I've played enough games to know what I like, though, so maybe my take here is a bit different from yours. The combat, yeah, it's alright. It's got that cool swap your weapon on the fly thing going on, which is a fun twist. Until you realize the weapon selection is, well, about as broad as a side salad. It's exciting for a while, but eventually I found myself wanting more. I'm more of an up-in-your-face type, you know? The kind who'd rather get all medieval up close than snipe from the back with a bow or a wand. And don't get me wrong, if they'd thrown in some fists, a sturdy stick, or even a pair of nunchucks, now that would have been something. But alas, the close combat arsenal left me craving more. Still, the combat style itself? It's hard to fault. It's straightforward, the controls are solid, and the gamepad works smoothly for the most part. Sure, targeting can get a bit who's who in PvP. Maybe a side effect of playing on a controller. There's no option to change skill visuals here. So when my screen turns into a confetti explosion of similar-looking skills from both my party and the boss, everything just blends into one big who's pummeling whom blur. Not like Lost Ark, where everything's color-coded with blue, red, or yellow indicators so you can actually tell what's going on. Here, good luck. You're in for a guessing game. In short, the combat's enjoyable, and I won't say no to another round, but with a little more weapon variety and a few clearer visuals, it could have really shined. Alright, so the movement in Throne and Liberty was actually exciting at first. They introduced these animal morphs, and it was pretty cool, until you realize it's mostly just an animal skin slapped on top of a regular glider. You can't do any tricks, flips, or anything remotely interesting in the air. I mean, they call it a glider, but it's really just a winged Uber. The ground morphs? Fun for a few minutes, but every great game out there has way better ways to get around. Throne and Liberty could have really shined here if they'd given these morphs a little more personality, abilities, emotes, anything. Instead, we just get one basic mount with some costume changes. And okay, I have to admit, the swimming otter was a huge win for me. Morphing into an otter and gliding through the water was perfect. But come on, let me jump out of the water and do some flips like a dolphin. I wanted to put on a real show out there, not just paddle around like a regular otter. Dodging and character movement? Solid. No complaints there. Fast travel? Easy to get used to, but it's honestly the weirdest system. You die in a PvP event, and bam, they respawn you halfway across the map. And yeah, there are technically no loading screens, but instead, they slap you with this hypnotic loop screen that might as well be a loading screen. It's like, look, Mom, no load times. while we're all sitting there staring at swirly patterns. On a bright note, the menu navigation and bag system, actually pretty smooth. I could find everything I needed, no problem. A couple more bag upgrades, and maybe some actual tooltips would be nice. I had no idea what items were valuable and what was just junk. Alright, so Throne and Liberty gives us the usual MMO lineup. Events, raids, field bosses, dungeons, quests, all the basics. The game is heavily PvP focused, which I love. Nothing beats a good PvP showdown, but as a solo player, I felt like I was missing out on a huge part of the action. You get all pumped up to join in, but then bam, the accept screen strikes. Every couple of seconds, this pop-up asks you to accept or reject, and it completely stops your character in their tracks. It's like, hey, want to keep playing? Too bad, here's a pop-up. Try dealing with that while a boss is busy turning you into a punching bag. The frustration was real. The dungeons, though, super toxic territory. Make one mistake, kicked. And then you're left staring at that same annoying accept screen, praying for a healer while a 10-minute wait timer ticks away. It's classic MMO gatekeeping at its worst. It's a bit disheartening that new MMOs still run into this problem. No tank, no healer, no patience. Plus, it's not even like the dungeons are all that challenging. They're pretty basic and repetitive, and if you finally find a group, you better hope you're stocked up on the game's dungeon currency, because yep, you need that too. It's like they found every MMO pain point and decided to double down on it. The event seemed promising, but then I tried the Halloween event, and, well, let's just say I expected more. Dodging a massive pumpkin was a fun touch, but after that, you're thrown into a dungeon where everyone just rushes ahead, and as a first-timer, you're left wondering what's going on. Oh, and you need more of that special currency just to participate. If you try to keep up, you'll end up stuck behind obstacles like fire traps, and sure, you can fly over them, but yeah, not exactly my idea of a good time. Let's talk about the downsides because, honestly, they're tough to ignore. This game has potential, but right now, it's stacked with more negatives than positives. Solo players, especially new ones, are in for a rough ride. Throne and Liberty doesn't do much hand-holding. And with the lack of clear explanations, tooltips, or even helpful hints, you're forced to hit pause, hop online, and sift through guides just to figure out what's going on. Skills are buried under walls of text that read more like mini essays than ability descriptions. Hardcore gamers with time to spare might be fine with all the trial and error. But for the rest of us, it's a serious time sink. After 30 hours of gameplay, I'd be lying if I said it was easy to stick with it. I'd hit a milestone and think, alright, maybe now it gets good, but the excitement never lasted. Every time the game tried to hook me, I'd end up feeling bored. Look, it's fair to cut it some slack. It's a newly released game, but I've never found myself so bored so fast in an MMO before. There's definitely room for improvement here, and if they address some of these issues, it could go somewhere great. For now, though, I'm giving Throne and Liberty a 6 out of 10. It's free to play, so if you're curious, feel free to try it and see for yourself. You might end up wasting a few hours, but hey, maybe you'll find something I missed. Thanks for watching, and remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed my honest take.